Hi, I'm John Feldt. This is the weekly water outlook for the South. Well, parts of the South have been pretty wet, parts of the South have been very dry, and these trends have persisted since late winter. Now, areas in blue are showing generally excess amounts of soil moisture. Reds are below normal. And if we look at eastern parts of Oklahoma, generally eastern parts of Kansas, large parts of Arkansas, we see well above normal soil moisture. It's been pretty wet. And then there's an abrupt dividing line where western parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas have been very dry. Matter of fact, most of Texas has been very dry. Now that little shade of green there you see in the western part of the state, that's some welcome rain that occurred this week over areas that really needed it. Now it certainly didn't put much of a dent in the drought, but it was at least some welcome rain in an area that has been very dry. Now in the last 7 days you can see here that rain I talked about over the western part here. This is very welcome rain in this region right here. Over the east, not quite as welcome because that's been pretty wet. And then we see some break here with not much rain in the state of Arkansas, and that's probably welcome because it's been pretty wet in that area as well. Now look at this here. This is an area where quite a few of my subscribers are located. It's been pretty dry, very little rain in this part of the state of Texas. And you see that very clearly with the percent of normal, where only 25% or less of normal occurred right smack in the middle of Texas. But look at that area of blue. That's 3 or 4 times normal for the week over the western part of the state as well as western parts of Oklahoma. Now more and more I'm going to talk about surpluses or deficits of rainfall over the week. You can see that that core of dry weather over Texas was about an inch or so below normal. So that's going to have to be made up sometime to get us back to normal. On the other hand, we received another inch or so of surplus rain or excess rain over scattered parts of the west, and that was very helpful, but we're many inches behind, so that just put a very minimal dent in the overall situation. But we'll take any rain we can get. Unfortunately, it looks like it was very scattered in coverage, didn't really cover a whole lot of a widespread area that I would have liked to have seen. Now, I wish I had better news this week. If you're looking for rain, that's sort of a hint at how the rest of this briefing is going to go. But the steering winds right now are dipping into the middle part of the nation, and that brought that welcome precipitation. That's going to very quickly be moving off to the east, and we're going to replace that with a ridge of high pressure that's going to be centered over Texas and Oklahoma and pushing up to the north. Now, you all know what this means as we get into late spring and summer with this ridge of high pressure. And what you're thinking is probably right, hot and dry for the most part, with only some exceptions, into the foreseeable future. Matter of fact, if I look at the 6 to 10 day outlook, look at this. It's still sitting right over the Texas-Oklahoma border. That red dashed line is an anomaly of atmospheric pressure, and red are positive. So that's saying that it's going to be a higher pressure than normal, and that's saying that we have that ridge of high pressure over the area. So the rain forecast is not looking good if you're looking for rain. Maybe a little bit of lingering rain over East Texas as that trough pushes through. Otherwise, most of Oklahoma, very little or no rain. Southern parts of Kansas, very little or no rain. Most of Texas, very little or no rain for the next 7 days. And that's going to be drying out soils fairly significantly over most of the area, actually the entire area, and areas that have been very wet, such as eastern parts of Oklahoma, where you might actually be looking for some short-term drying. Looks like you will be getting this over the next 7 days. Texas, where eastern parts might be looking for some drying, you're going to get it. Central and west, it looks like it's going to continue to dry out, unfortunately, right through this week. Now, I wish I had good news for the 8 to 14 day outlook. Temperatures on the left and precipitations on the right. And it looks like this temperature pattern of hot temperatures and dry weather is going to continue right towards the latter part of the month. Here's the outlook for precipitation from a model run. And it does show that there is some light precipitation here and there, but I think the trend is definitely dry over the south. Now, the upper jet stream could brush parts of northern Kansas, eastern Arkansas, that will be a little bit of jet stream energy, so I'm not going to rule out some scattered precipitation in those areas. But as you get into the core of high pressure over southwest Oklahoma and central and western Texas, very little, if any, rain at all. So the takeaway points: the building upper ridge pattern will be setting up this week. Dry areas will generally remain dry. Areas that have been wet will be drying out a bit. Temperatures will be well above normal, and this pattern looks like it'll continue well into June. If you ever have any questions, feel free to email me, John@bluewateroutlook.com. I'll be talking with you again next week. Thank you.